Natalia Carter pressed her forehead to the small oval window of the aircraft, watching the mountainous curves of North Korea unfold beneath her like origami. From above, it looked like a secret garden, crisp rivers cutting through jade valleys, soft mist veiling the hills, and tiny rooftops scattered like brush strokes on parchment. She was almost there. Pyongyang. A name that had once sounded like fiction to her ears. Now it was her next chapter. The cabin lights dimmed. A soft chime rang overhead. Natalia pulled her coat tighter. Though it was late spring, she had read that Korea still held onto a chill in the evenings, especially in the north. Outside the window, the sky melted into a cotton-colored dusk, and beneath it, the capital's symmetry grew clearer. Wide, empty boulevards lined with neat rows of ginkgo trees, pastel-colored high-rises, and the crown of the Ryugyong Hotel like a glass mountain. The plane touched down with a low groan. She exhaled deeply. Her fingers tightened around the letter from the university. The seal at the bottom still looked surreal. Pyongyang Foreign Language University had granted her a full scholarship through a cultural immersion initiative. When she applied, she never expected to be chosen. She thought perhaps China or Japan. But this was a country often erased from Western imagination. A place that made people raise their brows. But Natalia wasn't like most people. She stepped off the plane to a wave of cool air, tinged with smoke and pine. The sky was pale blue, the kind of pastel hue that made buildings look like they'd been dipped in watercolor. The airport itself was modest, functional. Soldiers stood in pairs, stiff and unsmiling, their expressions unreadable beneath rigid caps. As she rolled her suitcase forward, a woman in a dove-gray uniform stepped toward her. "Miss Natalia Carter?" she asked in careful English. "That's me. I am Miss Kim. I will be your university liaison. Welcome to Pyongyang." Her voice was gentle but rehearsed, like a memorized poem. Natalia nodded, heart thudding. "Thank you. It's beautiful here." Miss Kim smiled faintly. "It is a quiet beauty." As they drove toward the city in a government van, Natalia watched out the window like a child at a museum. Pyongyang was unlike any place she had ever seen. It was quiet, too quiet, clean boulevards, manicured flower beds, buildings painted in soft pastels: lemon yellow, mint green, cotton pink. Propaganda posters dotted corners, showing smiling farmers, strong workers, children holding red flags. There were no ads. No billboards. No storefront chaos. It felt like a city inside a snow globe, beautiful, untouched, and a little unreal. They passed under cherry blossom trees, their petals floating down like confetti. Natalia gasped softly. "They're stunning." Miss Kim glanced over, her eyes softer now. "Yes. Spring is when our city shows its gentlest face." The university was grander than she expected. An elegant gray building with sweeping staircases, traditional roof tiles, and old pine trees guarding the entrance like sentinels. Inside, polished floors gleamed beneath her boots. Students in navy uniforms walked briskly, their voices low. Her dormitory room was on the third floor, a narrow space with 2 beds, a shared desk, and a window overlooking a quiet courtyard. One bed was already made. A small plush toy, a white bear, sat beside the pillow. "Your roommate is a local student. Miss Jiyun. She will help you adjust." Natalia nodded. "Dinner is at 6, Miss Kim added. "Classes begin tomorrow. Orientation is not optional." When she left, the room seemed too quiet. Natalia unpacked slowly. She moved with the deliberate calm of someone trying to convince herself she wasn't overwhelmed. She placed her journal beside her bed, slipped her passport under the mattress, and hung her clothes in the wardrobe with care. Outside, the wind stirred the pines. She walked to the window, resting her chin on her arm. At that moment, the courtyard caught a streak of golden sun. A few students sat under the cherry trees. One sat alone on a bench, straight-backed, book in hand, face turned slightly upward. Something about him felt familiar, though she'd never seen him before. He looked up as if sensing her gaze. They locked eyes just for a second. He didn't smile. But he didn't look away. And for the first time since landing, Natalia felt something real. A spark. Orientation began the next morning in the university's domed hall, a building of tall marble pillars and high windows that bathed the room in warm spring light. Natalia wore a simple gray blouse and long black skirt, blending with the rest. Her curls were pinned into a low bun, and her gold stud earrings were the only flash of color. She sat near the back, notebook in hand, eyes scanning the crowd. That's when she saw him again. Same posture. Same composure. The boy from the courtyard. But up close, he was even more striking, tall, smooth-skinned, with sharp, thoughtful features and quiet eyes like rain just before it falls. He wasn't like the others. While most students sat stiffly or murmured with their seatmates, he was calm and detached. During the faculty introductions, Natalia leaned toward her seatmate. "Who's that?" she whispered. Her roommate, Jiyun, followed her gaze. "Oh, him? That's Han Jae-min," she whispered back, lowering her voice further. "He's the top student here. Very private. Nobody really knows where he's from. Some say his parents are artists. Others say his family works with the government." Natalia raised an eyebrow. "He doesn't look like he talks much." Ji-yoon chuckled. "He doesn't. But when he does, it's always perfect." Later that day, in the university garden, Natalia was sketching cherry blossoms in her journal when a shadow fell over her. "You draw," a soft voice said. She looked up and met his eyes again. "Jimin." She blinked. "I will try. It's how I remember things." He looked at her journal for a moment. "You see the world differently." And just like that, he walked away. The Spring Festival arrived quickly, an annual event hosted for international students to mingle with local ones, filled with dancing, games, and traditional food. Natalia wore a borrowed hanbok from Jiyun, a sky blue top with embroidered sleeves and a flowing white skirt. She felt beautiful, foreign, and oddly proud. The university grounds glowed with paper lanterns. Drums pulsed in the background, and laughter carried across the night air. She tried tiak, sweet rice cakes wrapped in leaves, and sipped warm plum tea. Groups of students played jejichagi, kicking a feathered shuttlecock into the air. Music played from a zither. There was joy here, even if carefully orchestrated. Then she spotted him again. Jaemin stood beneath a red lantern, hands in his pockets, watching a circle of dancers. She stepped closer. "Do you ever join in?" He glanced at her, then back to the dance. "Only if I want to embarrass myself." Natalia laughed. "Well, you're in luck. I'm here to lower the bar." Surprisingly, he smiled. And when she reached out a hand, he hesitated then took it. They danced awkwardly at first, then freely. The rhythm didn't matter. The world around them faded, and for a few glowing minutes, it was just them, Natalia spinning in laughter, Jaemin watching her with that calm gaze like he was memorizing each moment. That night, under a tree of lanterns, he told her softly, "You're unlike anyone I've ever met." Classes intensified. Natalia's Korean was improving rapidly, and Jaemin began tutoring her unofficially. Their sessions took place in the quiet corner of the library where the old history books lived, rooms smelling of ink and cherry wood. He corrected her pronunciation gently, and when she misused idioms, he'd smile without judgment. One day, she teased, "You always look like you're holding back a secret." He looked down. "Maybe I am. Will you tell me?" He shrugged lightly. "When the time is right." Later that week, she found a folded letter slipped into her notebook. "You remind me of the part of the world I've never seen but always imagined, where people speak with laughter, and trust comes like sunrise, slow and warm." She pressed the letter to her chest and smiled. The university arranged a weekend cultural trip to Mount Mohayang, a breathtaking mountain 2 hours north of Pyongyang. The name meant Mysterious Fragrance Mountain, and it lived up to it. The bus wound through valleys and pine forests, the landscape unfolding like poetry temples nestled into cliffs, streams that whispered like lullabies. Natalia sat beside Jaemin, who wore a dark windbreaker and a far-off look. "Have you been here before?" she asked. "Once. With my mother." "What was it like?" She said it was the only place in the country where she could breathe freely. The mountain paths were steep but beautiful. They walked together past monks in saffron robes, stone pagodas, and blooming azaleas. At a waterfall, he reached for her hand without a word. She didn't pull away. That night, in the guest lodge, they sat outside watching fireflies dance over the river. Jimin finally spoke, voice low. If I told you the truth about me, would you still want to be here? Natalia looked at him. I'm not here for stories, she said softly. I'm here for you. And under a sky of stars and pine, he kissed her soft and unsure at first, then deeper, as though his world had finally opened. Spring shifted to early summer. Natalia and Jaemin became a quiet fixture on campus. They walked to class together, shared lunch, studied under willow trees, but never flaunted their closeness. North Korea wasn't a place for public declarations. One afternoon, while painting traditional fans with Jiyoon, Natalia admitted, I think I'm falling for him. Jiyoon smiled knowingly. He's always been quiet. But since you came, he hums. Jaemin in turn was changing too. His solitude softened. His laughter became more frequent. He showed Natalia the parts of Pyongyang foreigners rarely saw, hidden tea houses, mural alleys, and an old record shop that still played jazz. One evening, they sat by the Taedong River, watching boats drift lazily by. Will this last? She asked, leaning on his shoulder. I don't know, he whispered. But I want it to. And as fireflies blinked between the reeds, Natalia thought. Maybe love didn't need to be loud. Maybe it could be steady. Certain. The summer air was warm and full of honeysuckle. Campus was quieter now. Final exams loomed, and the students moved in hurried silence. But Natalia and Jaemin found ways to steal time. 5-minute walks between lectures, long gazes across the library, whispered words under moonlight. One night, Natalia found him sketching alone beneath a ginkgo tree. You draw? She said, surprised. He nodded, not looking up. Only when I don't know how to speak. He handed her the page with a simple pencil sketch of her face. Gentle lines. Kind eyes. That's beautiful, she whispered. He looked up, something shifting in his expression. My name isn't just Jaemin, he said suddenly, voice quiet. Natalia blinked. He took a breath. My full name is Han Jaemin, heir to the Han Group. My father is the wealthiest man in the country. Technically, I'm not supposed to be here. Natalia's heart stalled. I enrolled under a pseudonym, with permission from high places. I wanted to study as a person, not as a symbol. To be unknown. To be real. She sat down beside him. Why are you telling me this now? Because I trust you. And I don't want to lie. Natalia reached for his hand. Thank you, she said simply. A week later, Jaemin invited her to his family's summer villa hidden deep in the Mohayang mountains, away from the world. It was an unusual invitation, but carefully approved through official channels. They traveled by private car, windows down, wind tangled in Natalia's hair. The road twisted through ancient pine forests, past wooden bridges and wildflowers glowing under the golden sun. When they arrived, she gasped. The villa was breathtaking Korean traditional architecture fused with modern minimalism. Curved rooftops, paper lanterns swaying from eaves, open-air courtyards, and a koi pond that reflected the sky. He led her through gardens of lotus and lavender. My mother loved this place, he said. She passed away 3 years ago. I haven't brought anyone here since. Natalia was quiet, touched. They ate in a quiet room overlooking the mountains. Rice wrapped in lotus leaves. Sweet chestnut porridge. Warm barley tea. Everything was handmade by a gentle old couple who'd worked for the family for decades. Later that night, they sat by the pond under a starlit sky. You've shown me your world, Natalia whispered. And now I want to be part of yours, Jaemin replied. Their fingers laced together. No fanfare. Just the truth. Summer deepened, and with it came waves of homesickness. Natalia missed small things, her aunt's lemon pie, music drifting from street corners in Harlem, laughter without surveillance. Jaemin noticed the change. You've been quiet. I'm just missing home, she said, eyes on the clouds. He thought for a moment, then the next day surprised her with a gift. A USB player filled with jazz, soul, gospel, even her favorite old sitcoms dubbed quietly into Korean. She laughed and cried at the same time. He watched her with soft eyes. I can't give you New York, he said, but I can give you reminders. And somehow, that made Pyongyang feel more like home than it ever had. A secret garden lived behind the university, a forgotten corner with moss-covered statues, crumbling benches, and a single peach tree that bloomed out of season. It became their place. They'd sit there in the evenings, sharing dreams. I want to write a book one day, Natalia confessed. About this. About here. Not what the world assumes but what I've seen. He smiled. Promise you'll write me in as the charming sidekick. She grinned. You're not the sidekick, Han Jae-min. You're the plot twist. He laughed for real, head tipped back, eyes shining. That night he leaned in close. If I asked you to stay longer, would you? Her breath caught. I might, she whispered. And somewhere between the crickets and the falling petals, they kissed again. Slower this time. With certainty. The national holiday arrived, and with it, fireworks over the Taedong River. The city lit up in celebration flags, music, dances choreographed across public squares. Natalia wore a simple red dress that fluttered in the wind. Jae-min, in a sharp navy suit, met her near the water's edge, hidden behind a line of trees where the view was still perfect, but the world couldn't see. As fireworks cracked above them, coloring the sky in gold and crimson, Natalia whispered, I never imagined falling in love here. Neither did I, he said. Then he pulled out something small from his pocket, a delicate bracelet, inlaid with a single jade charm carved like a flame. This belonged to my mother, he said. She believed that love, once real, never dies. Even if it has to hide. He slipped it onto her wrist. The fireworks lit the river like a firelight. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also tell us the country you are watching us from in the comments section so that we will make a story for you.